Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra Sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. Working concessions at a rundown 1970s-style drive-in theater wasn't exactly my dream job, but it beat working at my cousin Lonnie's goat farm, where I once got kicked so hard I farted for 3 days straight. So yeah, popcorn grease and VHS vibes? I'll take it. Real Paradise Drive-In sat 20 miles outside town, tucked behind a patch of pine trees and a trailer park named Heaven's Gate Estates, which, yes, was as shady as it sounds. The marquee still advertised Gremlins, E.T., and Smokey, and the Bandit, even though it was 2025. Our manager, Buck, said it was retro branding, but I'm 90% sure we just never changed the letters because the ladder was missing a rung, and he was scared of heights. Buck looked like someone who peaked in '85 and just refused to leave. Think tight jeans, a bushy mustache, and a mullet so thick it could stop bullets. He wore mirrored aviators even at night, and his favorite phrase was, "Now remember, partner, the vibes are sacred out here." The job was simple. Sell popcorn, nachos, soda, and pretend not to notice when teenagers tried to sneak in without paying. But on my first night, Buck pulled me aside as the sunset turned everything gold and dusty. "You're working graveyard shift tonight, ain't ya?" he asked, wiping cheese goo off his hands with a copy of TV Guide from 1993. "Yeah," I said. "I don't mind. I brought my Game Boy." Buck nodded solemnly, like I'd just told him I was heading to war. "Then you need to know the rule." He pointed at the projection booth up on the hill, where the ancient reels whirred like dying cats. "Never look at the screen during the 3:15 a.m. showing." I waited for the punchline. None came. "But there's no 3:15 a.m. showing," I said. Buck squinted into the horizon like he was in a western. "Exactly." And with that, he handed me a jumbo chili dog, patted my shoulder, and disappeared into the night like a beefy cowboy phantom. At first, I didn't think much of it. Every old place has weird rules. When I worked at Dollar Tree, they told me never to mop aisle 6 because a kid had once peed there and it still reactivated. Corporate voodoo, you know? The first few hours were chill. Couples made out in their rusted pickups, kids danced in pajamas to music from rusty drive-in speakers, and the concession stand smelled like heaven if you love artificial cheese dust and burnt sugar. I passed the time inventing menu items like Cine Nacho Explosion and popcorn with extra trauma. At 2:30 a.m., I cracked open a Monster, sat on a milk crate behind the counter, and watched the credits roll on The Thing. Some guy clapped from the back of his El Camino like he was at a film festival. And then the lights in the projection booth flickered. I didn't think much of it. Old wiring, probably. But the projector started humming again. Slow. Loud. Like it was breathing. I radioed up to Tony, our projectionist. He was the kind of guy who wore Black Sabbath shirts under his work uniform and smelled like old popcorn oil and lemon pledge. "Yo, Tony," I said. "You put on another showing?" No answer. "Tony?" Just static. I got that weird feeling in my gut, like when you realize you left the stove on and your cat's been acting weird all day. The movie screen flickered, then lit up. Not with trailers, not with film. With something else. Grainy, black and white footage, almost like a snuff film mixed with old war newsreels. No sound. Just visuals. People walking backward through doors that didn't exist. Cars melting into trees. Faces with no eyes staring out at rows of empty theater seats. I ducked behind the counter. My skin prickled like ants were crawling under it. Someone was watching from the projection booth window. I grabbed the flashlight and made my way up the gravel hill. My legs shook, and the wind started howling through the trees like it had something to say. I opened the booth door slowly. Tony wasn't there, but the projector was rolling. An old, dusty film reel sat beside it, unmarked except for black Sharpie. Do not watch. On the desk was a box of red vines, half a bottle of Jack, and a notebook. Tony's handwriting scrawled across the first page. If you're reading this, I'm probably not here anymore. Don't look at the 315 footage, it's not a movie, it's a key. And it doesn't unlock anything you want to see. The screen outside crackled louder. I could hear whispering? Not in English. Not in anything. I backed away from the booth window. My reflection in the glass didn't match my movements. And then I saw someone in the front row, standing, alone, head tilted at a weird angle, wearing my uniform. I slammed the projection booth door shut and locked it behind me. My heart was trying to bust through my ribs like it was late for a meeting. I paced around the booth, staring at the "do not watch" reel like it was a live grenade. And yet, I was also curious. That awful, irresistible kind. The kind that makes people open ancient tombs or check the closet even though they just heard breathing in it. I peeked out the small slit of a window. The figure in the front row was still standing. Still. Wearing my uniform. Same red and white Real Paradise shirt. Same grease-stained khakis. But his movements were wrong. Like a puppet trying to remember it used to be human. It kept tilting its head, twitching as if the wind was buffering its soul. I turned back to the projector, expecting it to have burned out by now. But no, it was still rolling, still showing that cursed footage of melted streets, time running backward, and people walking with mouths instead of eyes. The booth had gotten cold. My breath fogged the air even though it was July in the desert. I looked down at Tony's notebook, flipping to the next page. The footage changes each time. Don't let it catch your eyes. If you see your double in the audience, don't engage. It will try to swap places with you. Swap places? I grabbed the radio. Buck? You there? Anyone? Just static. Then a loud burst of whispering that sounded like someone rewinding a prayer. Buck! Tony's gone! The screen's showing something it shouldn't. I think someone's in the audience dressed like me. Static. Then, you shouldn't have looked. I dropped the radio like it bit me. I left the booth, careful not to look at the screen. I kept my eyes on the ground as I stumbled back toward concessions. The gravel crunched under my feet like broken bones, and the whispering from the speakers kept growing louder, even though no movie should have been playing. When I reached the snack shack, the front window was shattered from the inside. My heart plummeted. Inside, the popcorn machine was running full tilt, but instead of popcorn, it was spitting out something else. Chunks of black film reel, shredded and steaming. The soda machine was leaking thick red syrup that looked disturbingly like blood, dripping down into a cardboard box labeled extra cups and forks. And standing at the register was me. Again. But not quite. This version had no eyes, just blank black film leader where the sockets should be, like someone taped over them. Its face twitched, warped slightly to the left, and it let out this static-laced moan that sounded like a VHS being chewed by a VCR. I froze. My hands trembling, I picked up the nearest weapon available, a family-sized nacho tray. The doppelganger snarled. Don't, I warned. I've got fake cheese and I know how to use it. It lunged. I threw the tray like a frisbee and sprinted around the side of the shack. I could hear its heavy footsteps scraping the gravel behind me, like it didn't know how legs worked but was learning fast. I ducked behind the hot dog stand and peered around. Gone. Silence. Then, click. I turned and saw the back door to the projection booth, slowly creaking open. I didn't open it. I circled back uphill, sweat pouring down my back despite the freezing air. I had no idea where Tony went, if Buck was dead, or if I was losing my damn mind. But the one thing I did know, I needed to stop the projector. I stormed into the booth, keeping my eyes down. The reel was still spinning like it was running on fear itself. I reached for the kill switch, but it sparked violently when I touched it, jolting me backward. Then the screen outside screamed. Not a sound system thing. No, the screen itself. It was like the material stretched, warping into a mouth, a black slit opening wide as hellish light spilled out. I dove under the console, panting. Tony's notebook lay beside me, flipped to the next page. It's not a screen. It's a window. You're not watching the footage. It's watching you. You have to burn the reel, but if you do, it might wake up fully. The reel keeps it busy, distracted. So I had a choice. Destroy the film and maybe end it. Or let it play and hope it never notices I'm here. As I read those words, something outside growled. A slow, deep rattling noise. Like a film reel dragging chains. I peeked outside and froze. The cars in the lot were moving. Not driving, just twitching, jerking. Lights flashing on and off in unison. Like the entire theater was glitching. And the figure in the front row? Now there were 3 of them, all wearing my face, all looking up at the screen, waiting. I crouched behind the projector, breathing like a hunted animal. The booth smelled like hot wires and old film stock, and that humming from the reel was louder now, angrier, like it was spinning itself apart. The reel spun with an unnatural rhythm, like it had a pulse. The screen outside glowed brighter than ever, casting long shadows down the hill. The 3 copies of me in the audience had moved. Closer. Still watching the footage like it was holy. Still glitching like they were buffering souls through a scratched DVD. I held a box of red vines in one hand like it was holy water. Tony's notebook was open beside me. His next scribbled note read, "If your copies begin to sync, run. Once they move together, you'll start feeling it too, like your body is playing catch-up to footage that hasn't been shot yet." My hands started to twitch, not like nerves, like they were reacting to something I hadn't done, reaching for knobs that weren't there, wiping sweat I hadn't shed yet. One arm lifted slowly on its own like it was waiting for a director's cue. "Hell no," I whispered. "I am not about to be possessed by some off-brand cosmic rerun." I stood and did the one thing every single horror movie says not to do. I looked at the reel. It was no longer just film. The reel had threads, veins. I swear to God it was pulsing like it had a heartbeat, and the footage wasn't looping anymore. It was evolving. The image on screen outside had changed. It now showed the concession stand, from above, as if something in the sky was watching. I could see myself, Mimi, not doppelganger me, cowering in the booth. Then the view shifted to now, to the booth, to me. I was watching myself, watching myself, watching myself. I nearly threw up. That was it. No more waiting around like a final girl in a slasher flick. I grabbed the reel off the projector, felt it shiver in my hands, and shoved it in an old popcorn tin. The projector sparked and shut off instantly, almost like it was relieved. The screen outside flickered and went dark. The instant it did, all the weird static and humming died. So did the wind. And the doppelgängers? Gone. The lot was empty again. Just rows of empty cars, still twitching like they'd forgotten they weren't supposed to move. I booked it back down to the snack shack. Every light in the place had gone dead. The popcorn machine was finally quiet. I tossed the tin into the sink, drenched it in lighter fluid. "Thank you, rogue hot dog cart maintenance kit," and grabbed my Zippo. I paused. Burning it might end this, or it might make things worse. I lit it anyway. The fire exploded out of the tin like it had been waiting. The flames turned green, then blue, then black. Yes, black fire. It sucked in light instead of giving it off. And that's when the screaming started. Not human screaming. The projector upstairs roared back to life. The snack shack speakers blasted warped carnival music in reverse. And from behind me, something said, "Hey, partner! Why'd you do that?" I turned slowly. Buck stood in the doorway, aviators reflecting the fire. but his mouth wasn't moving. The voice had come from inside the booth speaker. And Buck, he started to glitch. Not like a twitch. Like a VHS skipping frames. His arm bent the wrong direction, then snapped back. His mustache faded in and out. His skin stretched too far, like it was trying to keep up with a face that wasn't his anymore. I backed up until my legs hit the popcorn counter. Buck, what are you? He twitched again. His hands reached toward me. No weapon, no threat, just reaching, like he wanted to record me. The fire behind me hissed. Tony's notebook was on the floor. A final page flipped up as the air turned electric. If it notices you, you're already on the reel. Don't run, don't fight. You can't kill footage, just survive, until sunrise. And whatever you do, don't look at the screen again. Buck lunged. I rolled under the counter and sprinted out the back door. I didn't look back, just ran toward the old maintenance shed at the edge of the property. I could still hear Buck's distorted voice, warping through the speakers. Now remember, partner, the vibes are sacred. Inside the shed, I locked the door, barricaded it with a mop, a busted vending machine, and sheer adrenaline. I sat in the dark, shaking. Then I noticed it. A single, old-school reel-to-reel tape player on the workbench. It was playing. The tape spun slowly, audio warbling. 3:15 is not a time. It's an entrance. And then, from outside the shed, flick. The projector had turned back on. I hadn't touched it. The 3:15 showing wasn't over, and I just made myself the star. The inside of the maintenance shed felt like the last safe room before a final boss fight, dim, cramped, and full of broken tools and half-functioning dreams. I huddled by the tape player, staring at the rotating reels like they were holy relics. 3:15 is not a time. It's an entrance. I rewound the tape, played it again. It's an entrance. It opens when the eyes open. That's how it finds you. That's how it writes you. Something banged on the shed door. I jumped, nearly sliced my arm open on a rusty rake. Bang. Bang. Click. The sound of a film reel locking into place. From outside. I pressed my ear to the wall. There was film, threading around the shed, wrapping the walls like caution tape. I could hear it unspooling, dragging across gravel, wrapping me in. It wasn't just playing movies anymore. It was directing them. And I was the only actor left. I made a break for it, kicked the back panel of the shed open, rolled out onto the dirt, and ran for the trees behind the theater lot. But the drive-in had changed. The cars were now facing the wrong direction. All of them. Not toward the screen, but toward me. And every windshield had my reflection. Except, they weren't reflections. They were alternate takes. In one, I was smiling wide, too wide, mouth split open like a film tear. In another, I was on fire, calmly handing out nachos. In the third, I was already dead. My body curled up in a theater seat, eyes melted to celluloid. I sprinted through the rows, dodging headlights that flickered on one by one like stage lights. The projector started up again. I didn't look. I couldn't. But the world did. The trees bent toward it. The cars leaned uphill. Even the damn snack shack was turning, groaning like the building itself was being pulled into the reel. I ducked under a pickup truck and yanked out a broken yard sign, one of those old wooden ones that used to say, "Kiss and row, $2 admit to." Now it just said, "Stay seated." Screw it. It was sharp. I needed a weapon. From the distance, I heard Buck's voice. "Roll camera. Subject is resisting. Let's try scene 5. The air cracked like thunder, and suddenly the sky turned into a screen. That's right. The whole damn sky lit up with flickering footage of me running, like a drone shot from hell. "Scene 5? I yelled. "How many scenes are there?" And then I heard it. Footsteps. Behind me. I turned. Tony. But not Tony. This version of him was spliced together from frames that didn't belong to the same person. His shirt blinked between uniforms. His limbs had a jittery quality like someone editing too fast. His eyes were flickering reels, actual film strip eyes, each blink clicking loudly, showing me stills of people screaming. "Tony?" I asked. His mouth opened. Instead of words, it let out a burst of movie trailer voiceover. "Coming soon. To a nightmare near you." He lunged. I swung the sign like a baseball bat, cracked his shoulder, and he stumbled back, glitching in and out of existence. I ran again, zigzagging between the lot and the tree line, trying not to look up at the sky's cursed reel. Then, one of the cars started. Its headlights beamed into my face. And the driver? Another me. Not one of the triplets from earlier. This one was clean, neatly dressed, calm. Like me, but from a timeline where I'd followed the rule. He rolled down the window. "You can't win," he said. "This place doesn't need viewers. It needs actors. And you've already signed your contract." "I didn't sign anything," I shouted. "Oh?" He smirked. "You looked, didn't you?" The sky flickered harder, now showing me talking to him live, but the version on screen had no mouth, only eyes, bleeding. Suddenly, the screen let out a deafening blast of white noise, and a voice boomed through the entire drive-in like God yelling through a megaphone soaked in static. "Final scene, lights, camera, glitch." Every car engine revved. Every version of me stepped out. 15 of them, some burned, some smiling, some still twitching like broken marionettes. They walked toward me in unison, frame by frame, like a stop-motion nightmare. I sprinted toward the projection booth one last time. Inside, the projector had grown, physically larger. It pulsed with light and heat, almost alive. The screen outside turned black. Then white text appeared. "The end?" I pulled a wrench from the wall, raised it above the machine, but I paused. What if I stopped it and became the ending? What if this wasn't just about watching, but being watched? I looked at the control panel. There was one final option. Record. And a blinking red button. If I pressed it, maybe I could film my way out. The blinking red record button pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and slow. I stared at it, hand shaking, surrounded by the flickering hum of the projector-turned monster. The booth was alive, metal breathing in long, staticky gasps, and I knew in my gut that if I hit that button, there was no going back. But I also knew I couldn't run, couldn't hide. They had my face. They had all my faces. Outside, every copy of me, burning, bleeding, glitching, was marching toward the booth like film zombies on rails, expressions blank as loading screens. The sky still played the scene, but now the footage looped over and over, me hesitating at the record button. A voice from the speaker whispered, low and warm, "All you have to do is press play." I did one better. I hit record, and everything froze. No, really. Froze. The air snapped cold. The projector screamed, a sound like a film strip being ripped through a shredder. The walls of the booth warped, stretching into long tunnels of celluloid. The reel spun backward, faster, faster, until the footage on the screen outside blinked out. The sky turned black, pitch black, and for the first time all night, silence. I waited. One breath. Two. Then I heard it. Click. Whirr. A new film started, but this time I was behind the camera. The screen lit up again, but it didn't show the theater. It showed the doppelgängers. Confused, glitching, looking around like actors without a script. Their eyes searched the sky looking for direction, but the reel wasn't showing them anymore. It was showing me, the real me, fighting back, running, surviving. One by one they began to fade, not die, not vanish. They were edited out, cut from the scene like bad takes. The projector hissed and sparked, fighting the new reel I was recording. The speakers screamed in reverse. Somewhere in the lot, a car exploded into a fountain of burnt film strips. I leaned in close to the mic and said the words out loud. Scene 5. The final cut. The projector groaned, then burst into flame. The blast knocked me back. I stumbled out of the booth, face covered in soot, lungs full of burnt nostalgia and terror. I looked around, expecting another round of nightmares to emerge from the screen. But there was nothing. The cars were empty again. Still, the lot was just a lot. Sunlight was starting to rise behind the pines. Pale orange bled into the sky like someone wiped the lens clean. The marquee letters flopped to the pavement one by one. Real paradise. I limped down the hill, past broken chairs and melted film. I expected Buck to come out with some cheesy line, or Tony to pop out behind a trash can with film reel eyeballs. But no, just wind. Birds. Normal sounds. Real sounds. I made it to the snack shack and sat down on the counter, staring out at the screen as the sun crept higher. The booth burned all morning. Nobody showed up. Not even Buck. At 7 a.m., the screen, now just a blank canvas, flickered one last time. Words appeared. White. Simple. Clean. Thank you for watching. A week later, the drive-in closed down. I quit, obviously. Moved 3 towns over and got a job delivering bread at a bakery. I don't do well around movies anymore. I haven't watched one since. But sometimes around 3:15 a.m., I swear I hear a low hum. Like an old reel spinning up in the dark. And when I look in the mirror, my reflection still twitches. Just for a second. Like it's waiting for someone to yell, "Action!"